Bulletcast for life.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the number 73rd Sports and Recreational Podcast. But yet again, we are the only sports and recreational podcast that is simply just too sweet. I'm your host, the Podfather, Philip Antoine, and I'm joined on the line by the reigning, sometimes defending Bulletcast champion, the Canadian Destroyer, Brandon. How's it going there, guy?
It's going good. I just came back from my little getaway in San Diego. I'm all rested and ready to go.
Yep, you had a birthday recently, and you're an old man yet?
Yeah, I'm an old man at the ripe old age of 24. Me and Mandy Rose share a birthday, by the way. So me and Mandy, we're going to hook up later this weekend and maybe have some, birthday bash going on.
Oh, wow, 24. That's not that bad. I'm getting up there myself. All right, ladies and gentlemen, episode 77. You know what, episode 100, I'm gonna retire. I'm gonna turn off the mic, and then maybe Brandon will take over from there.
Maybe.
He's the hunter of my Vince.
So that means I'm better than you.
I mean,
at this moment.
I mean, some people think I've lost it too, so we don't know. We'll see. We'll see. All right, let's start it off. Hulk Hogan, he has been reinstated into the WWE Hall of Fame. I know New Day, particularly Kofi Kingston, has released a statement about this, and we all know what happened. Hulk Hogan, he had a sex tape released. He didn't know he was being recorded. That's no excuse for the heinous things that he said. He said the N-word. It didn't end with an A. It ended with an ER, which is even more disgusting in its own right. And yeah, so he was taken out of the WWE Hall of Fame a couple years ago, and he's been reinstated. He was at Extreme Rules this past Sunday backstage apologizing to the locker room, saying he is incredibly sorry, and he's been going on kind of an apology tour. Mark Henry's given his comments about it, and the New Day, in their statement, they said, "We acknowledge Hogan for his accomplishments and accolades in the business, but we're going to kind of keep our distance." And Titus O'Neil agreed with the statement. So, Brendan, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, my thoughts on it kind of go with Titus O'Neil and the New Day. I'm kind of indifferent. They said that, the WWE said that they reinstated him after a 3-year suspension in the Hall of Fame. And I don't think anybody really knew that there was a hard set 3-year suspension. But, I mean, as long as he just kind of stays in the Hall of Fame and just kind of, if he's just in there and that's it, he's just, Hulk Hogan, the guy from the 80s and 90s that we all remember. We can just relive those fond memories when he doesn't come out on Raw and tries to be the same character, a hero to everybody when we all know. That, honestly, that whole facade might have been just that. It was all a lie and it was just something to get money. And he tries to care about everybody when he has a certain way he feels about a certain race. And his apologies that he sent out, they haven't felt heartfelt and really seeming like he changed his ways or anything like that. He said more than just the N-word. He said that he didn't want his daughter dating black people. He didn't want to be reincarnated as black people. He just said a whole bunch of different things. And from what I've seen of his apologies, they don't really seem all that heartfelt. But I mean, I talked about how I feel about the Ultimate Warrior, and they kind of paraded him out there to be this hero to everybody. And he said possibly even more heinous things than what Hulk Hogan said.
Yeah, that's very true. Warrior celebrated, and Warrior said stuff like Martin Luther King walked a couple blocks, big deal, stuff like that. I mean, the whole thing with Hogan, I look at it like this. I respect him for the accolades. The whole thing with Andre and Macho Man and Warrior, he took Vince national. He made Vince a lot of money. Took him mainstream. But as far as Terry Bollea, the man behind the character, yeah, I'm not messing with it. I'm really disappointed in Hogan. It's something I don't want to be a part of. All right. Now, moving on from that, we know Elias is having a album drop on July 23rd, making his way into the music realm. I was watching the table for three with him, Jeff Jarrett, and Road Dogg, and that was something interesting to watch. So I might give Elias's album a listen. It might be up there with the Life of Pablo or the Scorpion or something of that nature, right?
Well, let's just say hopefully his album's more like Kanye's and Kid Cudi's than Drake's, where it's only a couple songs and it's about a half hour and not, an hour and a half of a life.
Oh, very true, very true. All right, Cain Velasquez, a former UFC heavyweight champion. He's been training at the WWE Performance Center. Is he making his way into pro wrestling, or is this just a little publicity grab? Jeez.
I think it's just something of having sort of a big star come into the Performance Center, get some eyeballs on it, and he, rolls around with some people. He's kind of, I'd probably say he's past his prime. He's a former UFC heavyweight champion. He's had some injury issues. So, if he has a passion for being a wrestler, I think he'd be, I've never really thought of him as being a good promo or a good character, but you never know. He might come in and we might find something out about him, and I'm indifferent to it. It's fine.
All right. Also, this is some really big news. Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling are running Madison Square Garden the night before WrestleMania 35. The same night as that takeover at the Barclays. They're in WWE's backyard.
Yeah, real big news. There was talks about ROH running a show at MSG, and then that got shut down, but then it came back. You got to think ROH is backed by Sinclair, and Sinclair is actually a bigger company or entity than WWE is. So if WWE tries to come at ROH, if Sinclair is back in ROH, ROH is probably going to win a lawsuit or some sort of battle between the two. And that's kind of what happened a few years ago when WWE tried to steal some of their talent and kind of going after them before they're actually out of the contract, and Sinclair was able to kind of tell them to get off their lawn, and was able to throw their legal weight around. But yeah, it's big news. New Japan and ROH on at MSG. If it was me and I had the choice between the two without seeing the card, I would definitely go to the MSG show just because it's a historical event, a wrestling show that's not WWE.
I don't know.
The Garden.
We going to the Garden in April?
We getting press passes. I ain't paying for it.
He said, I'm not paying for it. Man,
we live all the way out here in the Bay. That's a cross-country flight. That's a pretty penny.
I'm okay with being an on-the-road podcaster, expand the brand. But going into it, Ring of Honor and New Japan, they have to come together, two companies to pay for this, because, the Garden is a very expensive building. WWE, they haven't want to run any live televised shows there for quite some time, because obviously the building is extremely expensive. I don't know the exact finances of what it costs to cover for the building or whatever, but this is big news. This is big news for New Japan. They're really going on that U.S. expansion. They're not just working in California. They're going over to the East Coast. This is a big deal.
It is a big deal. It's going to be fun to see how the ticket sales go. We have All In coming up in a few months. That sold out instantly. I don't know exactly if this is going to sell out instantly, just because it's kind of a novelty and it's the first time ever something like this has ever happened. But I don't know the exact number in terms of seats, but I wouldn't be shocked if they sold more than 10,000 seats for this show, because, WrestleMania is going to get people from all over the world, and New York's a big market just to begin with, so there might be people who don't even go to WrestleMania, but they'll go to this show.
Really, there are 4 key players that can sell this thing out, and 3 of them may not be there come the time of this show. Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. Now, are they going to make the leap after their contracts are up? What was that, in January, 2 weeks before the Rumble, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. Kind of the same thing with AJ, Shinsuke, and the Good Brothers.
Yeah, are they going to make the leap over to WWE? And is Vince going to tell Hunter, yeah, pick these guys up, put them on that takeover card the same night as the Madison Square Garden show, and show them how it's done?
I don't think any of them will re-sign, all of them I think will re-sign. I don't think anybody's going to jump ship. I think the person that's most likely to go with WWE at this point might be Cody, but it all comes down to how much money WWE wants to throw at them, because with them getting this TV contract, they have stupid money that they can throw at people, and if they just want to be vindictive and give the Young Bucks and Kenny and Cody just a bunch of money that they've honestly never seen before, I mean, they'd be dumb to turn that down just to kind of prove a point and show about how big stars they are in the indie scene.
Yeah, and Kenny Omega, he said recently, I think it was on JR's podcast, where he said he'd be stupid not to go to WWE. You know, that's kind of like he can just go for a payday, yada, 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 have some quote-unquote dream matches that we would like to see with him and Styles and Roman and Bryan and a whole bunch of stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it'd be best for those guys to go to WWE eventually. I don't know if they'd go as soon as 2019. And as far as Cody's concerned, I think he has a couple more years until he makes his return to the biggest stage.
Yeah, and don't forget about Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan still got his contract coming up. There's rumors saying he's re-signed. He's advertised for shows after his contract's up. But I'm not believing anything until there's a press release or something definitive comes out. And Daniel Bryan possibly headlining that show against an Okada or a Kenny Omega, that could be a real big deal. Obviously, he's going to be on the indie scene a little bit before that time happens, but this being maybe his first time in ROH or New Japan would be a really big deal.
Yes, it would. I can't wait to see what those guys do. All right, July 22nd, that will be the 10-year anniversary of WWE going PG. This was a good move financially. You know, they sold a lot more merchandise. I mean, I know us. You know, we love the Attitude Era and even Ruthless Aggression Era, where there was blood and a whole bunch of sexual innuendos and a whole bunch of explicit content, so to speak. I mean, the PG era did have some good moments. You know, it had the the Jericho Michaels rivalry. You know, Punk rising to the top, Daniel Bryan becoming of age story. So I mean, it did have some good moments.
Yeah, man. I think just because it's PG doesn't mean that it has to be a kiddie show. You can still get away with some adult-oriented things. I think you can have a PG-13 show and it doesn't have to be all blood and gore and sex and all that other stuff. Like, you can have a calmer version of the Attitude Era, but just show. But it's just, you don't need a PG-13 show to, you know, be super popular, and then you don't need a PG show to be, like, super dumbed down. You can find, like, some sort of a middle ground, and I think if Triple H were to take over and have a PG show, I think he can. I mean, he has with NXT, and it does perfectly fine with that. So, I think saying PG hindrance to the product is just an excuse.
Yeah. All right. Some sad news. You know, we hit the 30-year death anniversary of Bruiser Brody. He was thinking about going over and having a match with Hogan, kind of getting a nice little payday or whatever. And he was killed in a bathroom shower.
The locker room shower.
Locker room shower, yeah. We all know who did it. And there were no repercussions for any of this, and that's terrible. That's disgusting.
I mean, we did the Dream Hall of Fame, and I said that Bruiser Brody should definitely be in there, but I think at this past WrestleMania, he was put in like the Legacy wing or something like that.
Oh wow, that's nice. There you go.
I think I don't even know. I forget.
All right. Some other sad news. Virgil Flynn, he was a Bay Area wrestling native, a former All Pro Wrestling Internet champion. He died a few days ago. I think he suffered a stroke, I believe. And yeah, Virgil, I mean, he was one of the first guys I saw when I started going to APW in the garage. I forget his tag team partner's name, but they were Salt and Pepper. So I thought that was always funny. His cannonball move was great. Defeated Chris Hero, Cassius Ohno to become APW Internet champions. RIP to the guy, man.
Yeah, I mean, one of the not first ever, but one of the indie wrestlers that I saw at the APW shows, APW being the first indie shows I've ever really attended to, and he was one of those smaller guys, knowing he's, really thin, really small, knowing he's probably going to be an indie wrestler for the rest of his life, but he stuck out. He had a nice little hardcore following behind him. He had his own little t-shirts and stuff, so when I saw news about it on Twitter and Instagram, it was kind of shocking since he's so young and he died. And it was health related. It wasn't even like a, car accident or anything like that.
Yeah, RIP, man. All right, inside of the ring tonight, Flip Gordon, he tries to defeat Nick Aldis for the NWA World title. If he does, he faces Cody at All In. If Flip wins, he gets booked at All In.
I'm rooting for my boy Flip. I know they've had a long storyline of Flip trying to get any which way into the All-In show, him being the NWA champion, would be a nice little thing. I don't expect it to happen, but it'd be fun to see.
Yeah, I mean, when I met Flip Gordon a few months ago, I was like, man, is Cody going to book you for All In? And he was like, I got some tricks up my sleeve. I'm going to keep trying. So I guess this is what he was talking about.
All right.
All right, this day in wrestling. Adam Rose is 39. Yeah. Happy birthday, Adam Rose.
I can't believe he's that old.
Yes, he's an old goose. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got that fan mail segment, so let's just jump right into it. Baby Huey on Twitter. Shout out Baby Huey, fan of the pod. Pick a storyline from now, and how would you improve it?
I think the one I would probably improve would be the whole Brock Lesnar situation. I think they kind of botched it all just by holding him out for so long. I think you could have had him just either have him drop it to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania and just get that thing over with. But from what we're doing at right now, I would have had Seth Rollins win his little triple threat match this week, go on to face Roman Reigns, have a nice little one-on-one feud, have Seth go over in the end and beat Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. Because honestly, at this point, he's probably the hottest guy in the company. And giving it to, as it looks right now, either Roman Reigns or Bobby Lashley, I think, would not be as big of a moment as it would be for Seth Rollins getting that championship.
Yep. All right. For me, I think I'm going to go Sasha Bailey. Obviously, they should have had the Steamboat Savage quote-unquote classic at WrestleMania, because this has been really building before WrestleMania earlier this year. I would have had that happen, and then they could have kept coming back to each other here and again over the course of like 6 months, and then it could have led to the match at Brooklyn, the SummerSlam, and ended it. It could have culminated there. I would have fixed a lot of stuff. They wouldn't have gone to counseling because it's a wrestling show. They don't like each other. They're supposed to fight each other. I would have fixed all of that.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it so many times about how they've messed this thing up so much, and I think they try to fix it this week, but I don't think they did anything to help this situation out.
Yeah. All right, the next one is from XD Gamer on Instagram. With all the recent talk about dream matches, here is my personal one, and please don't laugh or criticize me. I want to see Nia Jax versus Karma because both are massive women. Karma's in the spotlight again because of Glow, and Nia could benefit from working a veteran.
I mean, if we're going dream match, which means just right now, when I think of dream match, I kind of think of that's something that could never happen. But I mean, if you brought back Karma into the fold and having her going up against Nia, I think it's kind of to each his own. But I just don't think that's the best way to use Karma if you're going to bring her back. I think her best matches was with Gail Kim, so having kind of that smaller underdog fight. I mean, having two bulls go at it worked with Big Show and Braun Strowman, I guess, but Nia Jax just hasn't really shown that she's that good of a wrestler to have that type of match, and she's not the powerhouse and the kind of character that Braun Strowman is at this point. Karma obviously is a great wrestler. She hasn't really been on the scene that much lately, but I mean, if I were to pick a dream match with Karma, it would honestly probably be mid to early 2000s with a Trish or a Lita or even a Mickie James type wrestler like that.
Yeah, just book it. Just book it. All right, the last one is from Adam Rollins on Instagram. Hey, guys, I've loved this show. I've been listening since the Canadian Burial episode. Oh, that was your big coming up there party there, guy.
I appreciate all the fans.
Yes. All right, so my question is, what the hell is going on with Jinder Mahal? Why is he about peace all of a sudden? I know Brandon's not a fan of Jinder Mahal. Actually, shout out Jinder. Happy belated birthday, my guy. But, Jinder, he was on a high last year. He was, at this time last year, he was the World Heavyweight Champion. He had a little dry spell, became U.S. Champion, and now he's all about peace and tranquility. I don't know. Maybe he can possibly, go back to the IC title picture, get in the main card picture or something. What are your thoughts on Jinder right now?
I mean, I think when it comes to his peace gimmick, I think he did cut some sort of promo after his feud with Roman Reigns, talking about how he let his aggression get the better of him or something, so now he's going to be peaceful, but then he's a heel, so he acts like he's all peaceful, but when, the referee turns his back, he's going to low blow somebody or do something dastardly. But I think the issue that we all have with Jinder Mahal isn't that he's, terrible. I mean, he is kind of terrible, but I think it's just the fact, kind of like Roman Reigns, where they're pushing him to this high level, and like nobody really wants that to happen. But at least Roman Reigns he should be a heel instead of a babyface in the top. Jinder Mahal is kind of like shows that he's not that good of a promo. He's not that good of a wrestler, but yet you're pushing him, beating AJ Styles and all these other people that we love. And I mean, him being a mid-card IC level heel, I have honestly no problem with that. It's just if you try to book him as a serious top-tier heel, that's when there's some pushback for me.
Absolutely. I mean, Jinder, the last 3 weeks of the reign, it got good, It's kind of like the Jay White situation. Like, it worked once the title got off of him. Because, like, Jay White, people were like, oh my goodness, like, ew, this isn't really working. And then that match at the Cow Palace where he lost the title, everything clicked. So, I mean, kind of the same situation with Jinder. I don't know. Maybe he can get to a mid-card level, have a couple matches for the IC title. I'm not saying he has to win it. I'm just saying give him some meaningful stuff to do.
Yeah,
all right.
I mean. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's get into the Raw recap. So, from least important to most important, AOP, they go on to defeat Titus Worldwide as they should.
As they should.
Yes, all right. Moving on from that, my boy Dolph Ziggler. Shout out Dolph Ziggler for being on Wild and Out last night with Nick Cannon. Good stuff. Dolph is a funny guy.
He was all right. I mean, I know he does stand up, so I think I had kind of higher expectations than most, and I don't think he really delivered it that much. But shout out to my girl, Justina Valentine, on that hot fire.
Justina Valentine, give the Podfather a call. All right, so Dolph Ziggler, he has a promo talking about how the IC title had a main event on pay-per-view for 17 years. Bobby Roode comes out, demands championship match, and Dolph says, you can have a match, but it's not going to be for the title. So they have a decent match. It wasn't really that long. I think it was maybe 1 seg or 2 seg match. And then Dolph hits him with a super kick and beats him, of course. Do you think they're going Roode Ziggler for the title at SummerSlam?
I mean, I don't know. Ziggler just kind of beat him clean right there, first match. Don't really know why they would kind of drag this out till SummerSlam. There was the backstage segment with Mojo. Maybe Mojo trying to get Bobby to turn heel. I don't know about that, but it kind of seems like they're kind of drifting Dolph Ziggler away from Seth Rollins and maybe focusing more Seth Rollins going up against Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam. But for the IC title, Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode, I mean, I'm starting to turn around on Dolph. He's been getting better since he's had the title and kind of being a more clear-cut heel.
I know. I mean, I know, we all have our reservations about the Iron Man match, but the fact that Dolph Ziggler was in the main event of a pay-per-view for the Intercontinental Championship and walked out the victor, that's massive. That's major within itself.
Well, I mean, it should have happened a few years ago at No Mercy when him and The Miz had that great match in Sacramento.
Didn't that main event?
No, it was in the mid-card. It should have been the main event. It had the WWE triple threat match started off because the presidential debates.
Yeah.
And then it was Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt main evented for God knows why, but
God knows why.
It was bad.
It was bad. All right, so this is a very interesting angle that we're about to talk about. So for over the last few weeks, Sasha Banks and Bayley, they have been at odds. Kurt Angle has put them in therapy, which I don't know why. It is a wrestling show. You were supposed to fight each other. And then he says if they can't agree, if they can't be friends, and he's trading one of them to SmackDown. Honestly, that's not a bad idea. SmackDown's the A show right now. So anyway, they have a tag match. Dana Brooke and Alicia Fox, congratulations, they got on TV. They have a tag match with Sasha and Bayley. Fox and Brooks start assaulting Bayley. Banks breaks it up, and then she walks to the back. And then we have a segment where she's about to leave the arena. And Bayley, she stops her, like, what's going on? What's going on? And Sasha tells Bayley, I don't like to express myself, you know that. And then Sasha says that she loves Bayley, she always has. And then she walks out of frame, and Bayley looks confused. Is WWE going in the angle in which I think they're going?
I don't know. What is the angle you think that they're going in?
And a Golden Lovers-esque storyline, if you know what I mean.
So you think they're going to be lesbians?
I mean, I got kids in the car. I can't really say what I need to say.
Okay, I hope they don't go in that direction because I don't trust WWE going in the telling, good gay storylines without being too over the top and bad taste.
I'm not saying they're going to be Billy and Chuck or anything like that, but I mean,
well, Billy and Chuck were not gay. Remember that they were just friends.
That's true. They were just friends who married each other. That's right.
No, they weren't. They weren't going to marry each other. It was a devotion to their friendship or something like that.
It was a friendship ceremony.
Yes.
Okay. I have to watch it back. I mean, I look at it like it's 2018. It's accepting with all the parades and stuff that happened for it. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to be like Golden Lovers because the only real Golden Lovers I know of are Goldust and Marlena, a la 96 through 99. But I mean, I don't know. Could they have a friendship ceremony for Banks and Bailey?
I don't know what they're doing here. I mean, at this point, I kind of thought maybe just turn both of them heel and have them be like a heel tag team. Because I think Bailey is kind of lost as a babyface at this point, and Sasha, I think, has always kind of been a better heel than a babyface. I think they wanted to strike some sort of emotional chord with us and say, "Oh, Sasha loves Bailey," but it didn't work for me.
This was very emotional for me. There was a tear in my eye.
I'm cold, so
cold-hearted, cold-blooded, the cold world. Shout out my boy J. Cole. All right, I mean, I look at it like this: if Sasha and Bailey have a barn burner of a match in Brooklyn at SummerSlam, this worked somewhat, I guess. Just bring it back to where it all started. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, I mean, they can tell a little bit of a story with them coming back to Brooklyn and kind of ending where it all started, but I'm just, honestly, have one of them get traded to Smackdown and just forget about this whole storyline.
Yes, please. All right, Rowdy Ronda Rousey disobeys authority. She jumped over the barricade at Extreme Rules. If she's a fan, why is she allowed to do that? And then on Raw, she makes her way through the crowd, assaults Mickie James and Alexa Bliss, and then Kurt Angle just tacks another week on her suspension and says, "Hey, you know what? You follow the suspension, you will be awarded a championship match at SummerSlam." What are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, in reality, it doesn't make all that much sense because Ronda Rousey jumped in the barricade 2 days in a row when she's supposed to be fired or suspended, and if any other fan did that, they would have got tackled immediately. And
somebody said she was suspended from Raw, so it was okay for her to jump the barricade at Extreme Rules, and I'm like, sure, why not?
Man, I thought the whole Raw and Extreme Rules thing, isn't Raw a part of Extreme Rules, so isn't kind of like under the same umbrella?
Touche, touche. I mean, I don't know, then Kurt Angle, a terrible man, he stole Baron Corbin's phone so we couldn't talk to Stephanie McMahon.
I don't know if he stole it. Maybe Baron Corbin left it on the counter, and Kurt Angle just took it so he could give it back to Corbin, and then Corbin decided that he needed it, but Kurt Angle wasn't able to tell him in time that he had the phone.
Yeah, I mean, this is all leading to Ronda Rousey locking on the armbar to Alexa, and since Alexa's double jointed, it's going to look like she broke her arm. This whole thing is leading to one spot in the match. Jeez.
Yeah, but I think Ronda Rousey has kind of gotten over as a babyface, and
yeah, she has. I mean,
her in-ring ability and her talking hasn't been great, but I think her aggression and everything else is kind of so much better than anything else on Raw that it makes her a lot better than she actually is.
Yeah, I mean, Ronda's, I had my skeptics, as I've said on the podcast. I didn't think she could, quote-unquote, do this in the way I'd like to see it, but she's exceeded my expectations. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure they'll have a nice one, Alexa, she's a decent worker. She's better than what people give her credit for. But, it's going to be interesting to see.
It will.
All right, moving on from that. So, Raw really kicked off pretty hot. Kurt Angle strips Brock Lesnar of the WWE Universal title for all of 2 seconds, and the place pops for that. I think that was Buffalo, New York. Job well done, ladies and gentlemen. Then Paul Heyman, as he does, cuts in a great promo, and he says the reason why Brock Lesnar hasn't been here and why he showed up is because he wants to be a two-sport athlete. He wants to be the undisputed WWE Universal Ultimate Fighting Champion. And the way Paul worded it was immensely amazing. And then we have a whole bunch of guys come out there. Bobby Lashley, he said he had 2 goals, fight Roman Reigns and fight Brock Lesnar. He accomplished the first one. Now it's time for the second one. Seth Rollins makes his way to the ring, so does Finn Balor, Drew McIntyre, Elias, and the big dog. And Roman said he has no excuses. He's just ready for a fight. So we get 2 triple threats: Roman, McIntyre, and Balor, and Lashley, Rollins, and Elias. Thoughts on the segment before we get into the matches?
Yeah, the segment itself, I thought, Kurt Angle stripped Brock Lesnar of the championship, right? So once he says that, isn't he already stripped? He can't just take it back.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was just more of Raw. It was just Raw parading people out and challenging for the championship, and I've seen it a bunch of times.
All right. Well, so Roman Reigns defeats Finn Balor and Drew McIntyre. This was a good match. It was long. It was about how long was this?
I don't know. I wasn't watching this live. I just came back from my excursion in San Diego. Shout out.
Your sabbatical.
Mm-hmm. SCU.
All right, yeah. So it was a good one, McIntyre taking a nice spear on the outside. Finn Balor was so over. Vince pushed my guy, Finn Balor. And then when Finn hits the coup de grace on McIntyre, we think, is he going to get what he should have gotten a long time ago? And Roman pulling him out, such a not a nice move by Mr. Reigns. And then, of course, he pins Drew McIntyre, and he makes his way to advance into the match next week for the decision of who faces Mr. Lesnar at SummerSlam. And then the second triple threat match, this was really good. Rollins, Elias, and Lashley. Lashley goes on to defeat Rollins and Elias. They had some good matches. They had some good sequences in this. Rollins, they teased it. I was like, oh my God, is my boy Rollins going to do it? I love every time Roman and Rollins go at it. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Lashley got the win. So we're getting Lashley Reigns 2 next week.
Yeah, Roman, I thought it was kind of the obvious move for him to win. As much as I thought Seth Rollins should win, there was some points in there where I thought he was going to get the victory because I thought telling the story of Seth and Roman having a match, that would have been fun to see. But then they give it to Lashley, so within 2 weeks, we're going to get 2 Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns matches. The Extreme Rules one wasn't all that bad.
Oh, that's some interesting chemistry.
Yeah, but I just don't think anybody's really clamoring for either one of those 2 guys to defeat Brock Lesnar like they would if Seth Rollins won the match.
I'd like to see it. I think I said this earlier, are we, because, since there's, heat on Brock, people, they just want to see him gone. They want to see the title. If Roman Reigns, because this whole thing for the last 3 years has been about Roman Reigns defeating Brock Lesnar, and Vince hasn't pulled the trigger on it. So if Roman beats Lashley and beats Lesnar at SummerSlam, will the crowd pop just because the title is off of Brock? And will that have worked in some way in Vince's favor?
I think I don't think so, because if it is just Roman and Brock in a one-on-one match, which I don't think is going to happen, I think there's going to be something going on next week where some sort of schmoz happens to where it's going to end up being a triple threat match, and then Braun Strowman inserts himself since he has the Money in the Bank to make it a fatal 4-way. So, just answering your question of being in one-on-one, I don't think it's going to be it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, but on the Brock Lesnar Goldberg type level where it's just going to be a debacle and everyone just chanting and if you thought Extreme Rules was bad, if people counting down a clock, it's going to be a lot worse at SummerSlam.
Very true. I mean, so does Roman? I'm trying to think. Roman wins the championship, and Braun tries to cash in. Roman assaults a ref, turns heel. That's the perfect scenario for a lot of us fans. You know, we want to see it. Maybe Vince will pull the trigger. I feel like he's leaning towards it, maybe, possibly. I'm not in the creative room. I don't know what's going on.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of different ways you can go with it. I think one way they might is just have this triple threat match and then have Roman win it and then have Braun cash in on him. And in Vince's eyes, it's a sympathetic move. It's a, split sympathy on Roman, and it's a heel move by Braun. But if Braun cashes in on Roman right after he wins it, it's going to, be the pop of the year probably.
That is very true. That is very true. All right, I think we've talked about that enough. We'll get into all that more once SummerSlam rolls around. SmackDown Live, real quick. Becky Lynch defeats Mandy Rose, a woman who you share a birthday with. And Becky cut a nice babyface promo, said it's time for her to get back in the SmackDown Live Women's title picture. Becky Balboa, straight fire. I'm with it.
Yeah, Becky Lynch probably has, the best connection with the crowd, maybe behind Seth Rollins, but she's just, an earnest babyface. She asks for the cheers of the crowd. She accepts them. She's just, her promo afterwards, it was kind of corny, but it was a lovable promo by Becky.
That is very true. So yeah, I can't wait to see what that does. I mean, I think Becky's just going to be another person that Carmella beats, because that's what Carmella does. She brags about beating people. She brags about beating Charlotte Flair twice. She beat Asuka twice. Is Becky just going to be another name in the hat for the Queen of Staten Island?
I mean, I hope not, but Becky Lynch is probably my favorite women's wrestler on the roster, so I would love to see Becky get the W and get the championship. But, Charlotte is poised to face off Ronda Rousey for the championship at WrestleMania, possibly being the main event of WrestleMania. So it's interesting to see what happens. Do they do title versus title? Do they do Charlotte winning the Rumble, jumping ship, like what they did with Asuka this year? So, I mean, I think it's all about what they want to do with Charlotte. So if they just want to wait and have Charlotte beat Carmella because Carmella was the one that beat Charlotte, I think, honestly, that's probably the realistic end for this thing with Carmella. But as much, I would love to see my girl Becky get that championship.
Yes, yes. All right, Aiden English asked for forgiveness after costing Rusev the WWE title, but he asked Lana instead of Rusev.
Yeah, and Lana doing some crappy promo in English/Russian. And is this supposed to be some sort of hint towards Hulk Hogan trying to ask for forgiveness?
I would hope not. I would hope they're not using this to kind of allude to Hogan asking forgiveness, because, I mean, obviously this is storyline, and obviously what Hogan did is completely disgusting,
I don't think so, but I was just kind of poking the bear.
I mean, I've never heard that. You've got an interesting mind on you there, guy. You should be in the creative team.
I'd get fired within a week.
Okay, be on the creative team for TNA. They'll keep you around a little bit.
Okay, me and Don Callis. Don Callis is my boy.
Yes, maybe Geto will hire me for New Japan. We don't know. All right, moving on from that. Eric Young, the leader of Sanity, defeats Kofi Kingston, as he should. Credibility for Sanity.
Yeah, I mean, Eric Young, even though he's the most experienced person, he's the smallest one, so he's kind of the Xavier Woods out of the group, being the singles guy. So, I mean, it was good. Fine match. Just building up the Sanity New Day match.
Very true, very true. New Day, they lost the tables match at Extreme Rules to Sanity, so kind of continuing the feud a little bit. I mean, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to end up at SummerSlam, but I think just having a big six-man tag, like maybe the week before SummerSlam being the main event, would be a nice spot for these guys as well, but you got to get everybody on the card.
The go-home show was of Smackdown. Give them 15 minutes, tear the house down, go home, be fine. All right, my boy Samoa Joe goes on to defeat the Perfect 10, Ty Dillinger. So the week prior, Ty Dillinger was making his entrance for a dark match. Joe attacks him, puts him in the Coquina clutch, And for this match, it was interesting. Dillinger assaults him right off the bat, but he pays for it. Gets put in that coquina clutch again and goes to sleep.
I mean, just a simple squash match for Samoa Joe. Hasn't really been on TV lately, so Paige is announcing the opponent for AJ Styles at for SummerSlam next week. So I think if it's anybody but Samoa Joe, it's going to be a shock to me.
Yeah, it's something some multi-man match. The winner gets it.
Yeah, I think just having Samoa Joe and AJ Styles go at it for 20 minutes at SummerSlam, that'd be fun to see.
Yeah, give them some time. All right, speaking of AJ Styles, the phenomenal one, the WWE Champion defeats Andrade Cien Almas. This was a good match. I really enjoyed it. There was a spot that I enjoyed. As you said earlier, it didn't really make sense because of continuity standpoint, but Styles does the drop down, does the leapfrog, goes for that amazing drop kick, and Almas, as he does, hits the Tranquilo pose on the ropes, and then Selena Vega does it with him.
Yeah, I mean, in NXT, Selena Vega, the reason why Almas got so successful was that Selena Vega told him to cut the crap and stop doing all these different, showboating and partying and stuff and get down to the brass tacks and be in the ring. And now she's on the main roster encouraging it, so that doesn't make any sense. But back to the match. I thought it was a really good match between the two. Definitely not as good as it can be if this was in a pay-per-view level match, but I think I don't know if this is a good sign for Almas, just because it was a throwaway match in the middle of the show. No hype for it. Didn't even say next week we're going to have this match, but I have high hopes for Almas that he can be a main event heel, or even a main event babyface, eventually being, a nice, good-looking Latino man, kind of filling that void, someone who we haven't seen for a while, possibly since, Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero. But,
yes.
Yeah, I mean, in the bubble, the match was good, but I think I have questions going long-term of what this means for Almas. If this is just supposed to be a sort of squash win for AJ Styles, just kind of getting the win under his belt.
Absolutely. All right, my number 2 out of SmackDown, Miz has a eulogy for Team Hell No. The Miz is just amazing at everything he does. So he has the pallbearers carrying a mannequin head with Kane's mask on it. Miz is making his way down the aisle, shaking hands with the crowd, and he pays his respects to Team Hell No, but then quickly changes on a dime, and he talks about how Daniel Bryan was all hype. His return has run out. He's not where he needs to be anymore. Just very, very interesting.
I mean, it was all right. I thought it lasted probably a minute or two too long of Miz going on and on. Shout out to Miz for being the MVP for the Celebrity All-Star game.
Oh, yes. Miz is always the most valuable player.
But, once Daniel Bryan came out and started attacking the pallbearers and Miz, I thought it kind of turned up, and it's definitely looking like we're going to get that match at SummerSlam.
Yes, we are. I'm a big proponent of it happening at WrestleMania 35, the video package from their entire history. Daniel Bryan wins the Rumble, Miz walks in as champion. They have that amazing feud culminating with that match at Mania. But if we start at SummerSlam and somehow we get there to Mania, it's okay with me.
And it all depends on if Daniel Bryan re-signs or not.
That is very true. Daniel, I need you to sign some more of your life away to Vince McMahon.
Daniel, don't do it. Go out and main event Wrestle Kingdom and, best in the world and, come to the King of the Indies tournament next year and tear it up.
I mean, if you know what's good for you, you'll stay with my boy BKM.
Bryan Danielson doesn't care about money. He cares about his art, which is a discussion for another day that I have some issues with, but anyways.
We'll have a pod about that. All right, number 1 out of SmackDown, Jeff Hardy and Shinsuke Nakamura. They have the match they should have had at Extreme Rules for the United States Championship. Shinsuke retains his newly won title. And then Randy Orton just going full ape on Jeff Hardy. I mean, smashes his head into the steel steps. He stomps on his head on the steel steps. And then some think it was sickening. Some think it was disturbing. My mother, she had to turn away. Randy Orton takes his finger and puts it into the gauge hole of Jeff Hardy's ear and just starts pulling like he's going to rip it off. and I was like, oh my goodness, what is going on? Is this PG anymore?
I really enjoyed this segment. I thought it was a great heel work by Randy Orton.
Yeah, I
the match
loved it.
itself with Jeff and Nakamura was fine. I think definitely coming out of this was the segment with this. And a heel Randy Orton possibly his last hurrah as, a top-tier main event heel. I think he's definitely motivated and probably finding some new ways to get over as a heel, because we all know Randy Orton likes being a heel better than a babyface.
That is very true, I loved it. Randy Orton, I don't know if they're going to channel into what was the name of that disorder he had? The intermittent explosive disorder, something like that. Randy Orton, he's punted Shane and Vince McMahon. He's RKO'd Stephanie. He's DDT'd Stephanie while Hunter was handcuffed. He kissed his unconscious wife. Like, Randy Orton has done some despicable things in the world of pro wrestling, and this is just another one. I love when Randy Orton is at his best like this.
Yeah, it looks like it's just going to be a regular singles feud between Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton with no title on the line, and I'm intrigued to see where it goes. Hopefully there's no triple threat match with Shinsuke involved, but just looking at the babyface roster, there's not a lot of babyfaces at this point with Randy Orton turning heel, so now all we really have is like the New Day, AJ Styles, and Daniel Bryan as the top, and Jeff Hardy, but obviously he's with Randy Orton, so don't really know where Shinsuke can go with the babyface, possibly getting Rusev turning heel, but maybe you give Rusev and Aiden English in some sort of feud there.
I think Big John will be coming back pretty soon.
And they teased it a little bit back early on in the year with the AJ Shinsuke and John Cena match. So, I wouldn't be mad at that if they get Shinsuke versus John for the U.S. title.
That'd be nice. John could tie the record for most U.S. titles won. Ric Flair currently holds it at 6. John's at 5. So that'd be nice to see.
Well, we all know SummerSlam is where John Cena does the job.
Except for last year. Let it be known. Oh, Baron Corbin, if you hadn't gotten that fight with Meltzer on Twitter.
It's only Baron Corbin. John Cena puts over the right guys like Daniel Bryan and CM Punk and stuff like that.
Oh, my God. All right, Superstar Spotlight. Who do you got? I got Randy Orton for being an animal on SmackDown.
I guess Randy Orton, but I'll go on a different route. I'll go to the G1 Climax, and I'll go Kenny Omega versus Tetsuya Naito as a Superstar Spotlight, because I'm a little behind on it, so I've only watched the first 2 nights. There's a little bit of night 3, but night 2 Block B action, or technically night 1 of Block B action, was Tetsuya Naito going up against Kenny Omega, and it was a barn burner of a match. Kenny Omega jumping off the top rope, going about 5 rows deep. It was a damn good match.
When it comes to the G1, it's all about the Tongans for me. Seno Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, Bad Luck Fale, the Firing Squad, those are my boys.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what Tama Tonga does in this G1, especially being in the same block as Kenny Omega, so that match coming up soon is going to be an interesting one to see what Tama Tonga can do.
Hasn't Jay White, hasn't he beaten Okada and...
Spoiler alert.
Come on.
Spoiler alert. I could talk about night 1. He beat Okada, and that was a good match, by the way. I'm pretty sure you just spoiled it for me because I know who he's facing, but I'm just going to ignore that because you don't know what you're talking about.
I don't like New Japan, but I know what's going on. I'm aware.
Just like if you spoil what happens at the NXT tapings, I will cut you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You better not know what I'm talking about.
They're not live to tape? What? I didn't know this.
Anyways, let's get into the promo pick of the week. My promo pick of the week takes place on NXT. The last episode, that would be Velveteen Dream. He just does some little porno, he doesn't do a porno, but it's a porno-style movie with the music and the sexual talking. It's very, very creepy and very weird. I'm not the biggest fan of Velveteen Dream.
What? I love the Velveteen Dream.
I like him. I'm not so big on him like everybody else is saying. John Cena saying he's going to be the next big thing and all that fun stuff. But it's just Velveteen Dream kind of going over his career and all the big takeover matches he's had. and he talks about what he's going to do at Brooklyn Takeover. So go and see that. And also on NXT, there was a War Raiders promo, just a simple kind of video package of them talking about the career. It showed independent videos of them in ICW and progress. They showed some pictures of them with the IWGP Championship. Talked about Rowe, I believe it was, who got in a motorcycle accident and they bounced back, and how they're just going to take over the NXT Tag Team division.
Yes, I really enjoy that, you know. All right, my match pick of the week is Eddie Guerrero going up against Dave Batista. Batista was defending the World Heavyweight Championship at No Mercy 2005. This was a SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view, and this was Eddie's last pay-per-view match. You know, this was a sad one. If knowing what happened about like a month or so later.
Yeah, I mean, watching that back kind of makes the match a little less enjoyable for me. But I mean, the match itself, it was all right. It did tell the story of Eddie trying to not lie, cheat, and steal as much as he does, and he teases going to use a chair on Batista, but then he doesn't. Eddie working over Batista's back kind of ends on a whimper, in my opinion, with just a random spine buster out of nowhere for the victory, not even a Batista bomb. And Eddie was on offense for the last half of the match, and then he just kind of loses with a spine buster. I thought it was a little anticlimactic, but it was all right.
Yeah, it was cool. There was some good storytelling. The commentary team, Cole and Taz, very underrated.
Yeah, I mean, they throw back, really nostalgic for my childhood, kind of the first announcers I've really heard of. Them, and JR and the King are kind of the earliest announcers I can remember. So, I mean, I always liked Taz as a sort of heel tweener announcer, and I think the two-man announce booth definitely is better than three, just especially if you got the heel color guy and the straight man play-by-play.
Yes. Maybe we can get on the commentary team for APW one day, my guy.
Shoot your shot. You miss all the shots you don't take.
Absolutely. Great words. All right, ladies and gentlemen, follow us on Twitter at BulletCast, Instagram, The BulletCast, YouTube channel, The BulletCast, Facebook is BulletCast. Email us questions for the fan mail segment. BulletCast2 is in the number 2, sweetsweet@gmail.com. We're on 99.9 FM KW in Watsonville. Go listen to us there every Friday from 10 to 11. All right, Brandon, this has been a good episode, man.
Yeah, we said we weren't going to go that long, and yet we've gone about 54 minutes.
I'm a 60-minute man. I can't help it.
You're not a two-pump jump?
Of course not. Why would you think such things? Ask Mandy.
Oh, okay.
All right. Yes. All right. I will see you next week. Are we doing something special for episode 80?
We're going to do a podcast, like we always do.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the next time the championship is on the line will be TakeOver Brooklyn, and then it will be on the line the next night for SummerSlam. Back-to-back title defenses. Let's see if you can. What if you hold it through both shows? That'd be amazing.
I mean, it will be amazing because that's what's going to happen. And if somebody wants to ever cash in, I'm open to any different wrestling show you think of. You can go G1 night 10, the finals. You can do some ICW show, a progress show, something I've never even heard of. I'm going to do my research and I'm going to defend that championship. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the BulletCast. We'll see you guys next time. I'll see you later, buddy. Toodaloo.